right, well, good afternoon, and everyone. It is 3:05 for the Downtown Development Authority meeting for January 23rd is called to order.
Clay, can we have a roll call, please?
Angelina Butler,
Yes, present.
Eric Stalling. Jacqueline Faith,
Present.
Nancy Howard. Trey Holland,
Present.
Donald Shaw. Jay Evans. Present.
All right, thank you. The minutes from December 19th. So just skip that one. Okay, what would be the additions?
Sorry. The ratification of the demolition and the tree removal proposal from Technique Construction for 4523 Ernest Drive. And then also the addition of the DDA financial report.
What about East Street? Is that part of the update? Because there were after East Street,
I believe so, but
that's part of the update. Because I think like doing the, putting in a new sink
It's already been, it's done.
under this then?
Isn't it? I thought we were talking about earlier.
what we are talking about. Sorry, we are talking about Ernest for the proposal, the two proposals from Technique for the demolition and the tree removal. But there was also some additional proposed work for the East Street property based on the final walkthrough from last week. And I don't know if we need to discuss the East Street additions in executive session or not. Because I don't have, let me see if Talisa is here.
Me and the gentle chair lady on the other side have a conversation. I'm not aware of these.
Well, you were included on the invite to be there.
You know,
Well, we'll put that, is that executive session, Attorney Metrocardi?
For contract work, then no.
I'm going to see if our procurement officer can join us for that conversation.
Okay, so we have 3 additions. Ernest Drive, East Street, and the financial report. So is there a motion to adopt this agenda with the 3 additions?
I make a motion.
That was Jacqueline. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Miss J. Is there any discussion? Miss Clay, can you do the roll call, please?
Mayor Angelina Butler,
Yes.
Jacqueline Faith,
Yes.
Trey Holland,
Yes.
Jay Evans.
Yes.
All right, thank you. The minutes from December 19th has all had the opportunity to review, and if so, are there any changes to be recommended? All right, not hearing any. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion approved.
That was Ms. J. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Trey. Is there any discussion? Ms. K, please. Ms. Clay, please. Yes.
Jacqueline Faith,
Yes. Sorry.
Trey Holland,
Yes.
Jay Evans.
Yes.
All right, DDA update. On the appraisals and lease renewal.
So, Mayor Butler, as you know, we've approved the appraisals and Aubrey is having them done to be completed, I believe, by the end of the month. Is there something outside of that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, just to update, there were 3 additional properties, I think, that were omitted from the original list. We just included them in, and the purpose of that is so that as we're out shopping the sites to potential investors and developers, we know, have an estimate of what the property costs are.
Okay. Well, thank you for that update. Georgia Power easement. Did we discuss that already? It just needed to be signed?
So this is trimming easement. So what that they can get on the property and trim the trees and any shrubbery around the lot.
Okay.
And they're paying $500 per small amount of money, but just so they have you come in at.
Okay. That's pretty simple, straightforward. Is there a motion to approve the Georgia Power easement?
Motion.
That was Ms. J. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Trey. Is there any discussion? All right, Ms. Clay? Yes.
Natalie Payne,
Yes.
Ray Collins,
Yes.
Clayton,
Yes.
All right, thank you. Main Street update. Where's Director Williams?
That's the way it's been.
All right, good afternoon. So I'm going to give you a quick, and you've got hard copies in your packet. Update on our Main Street program for the month, and this actually is November and December. We closed out our 2024 with Small Business Saturday. This is the second year that we have hosted Small Business Saturday here in the city of Forest Park. This year, we did a slightly different spin on Small Business Saturday, and we highlighted 6 local businesses with photos and a video reel that was shared across all of our social media platforms. We also created a coupon book with special discounts offered by the business to drive people to, again, shop local, shop Forest Park. Those businesses were Atlas Strength and Conditioning, Miss Jerry's Cafe, Special Rims, 111 Content Studios, Trustee Drugs, and People's Janitorial. We also celebrated Holiday on Main, and we really did 2 things this year. Last year was the first year that we did a holiday decorating contest specifically for our business community. This year, at the urging of our city manager, we expanded to include residential as well as businesses, but outside of just the downtown corridor. So we extended this citywide. The members of the DDA, URA, and Development Authority boards, as well as the economic development staff, served as judges. We took a tour of our city. I think we drove all over Creation in Forest Park on Friday, December the 20th. Compliments of Tariq Maxwell, who served as our chauffeur for the day. We had 3 businesses that signed up, as well as 10 residences that participated. We awarded the Best Business Storefront to, drumroll, Hair Embassy at 4893 Jonesboro Road. And then our best residence, after lots of finagling back and forth and arguing about who had the best lights, was 6253 Linwood Drive. The final phase of this to close this out, we are working with Samaria to get dates and times that work for the city manager as well as the mayor, so we can deliver a complimentary breakfast for the business. For the residents, we're going to do breakfast as well, but it's probably going to be a breakfast coupon put together in a nice little basket because it's a little bit more challenging to schedule a breakfast for our residential community. So we're working through that and hoping, again, to have that buttoned up before the end of this month.
No.
I'm gonna let y'all fight that out. Holiday on Main. Also, we partnered with Women of Clayton County and the Beautification Committee and co-hosted the Hot Cocoa Station for our annual holiday extravaganza at Star Park. We served over 250 cups of hot cocoa with all of the trimmings. So our 2025 proposed events, if you remember last year, we kicked off in earnest our event season with St. Patrick's Day Street Party. It is still proposed. I've highlighted it in yellow because I want to have a brief discussion of if this is something that we want to continue to do for this year or not. One of the things that has been brought to us, compliments of Councilwoman James, is an event called The Longest Table. And The Longest Table is similar. It started in New York. It is a hybrid of dinner and blanc and kind of like the ARC Civic Dinners, if you remember the ARC Civic Dinners, but it is specifically focused around community building. It's an outdoor event, hence the longest table, usually a block long. People sign up to be hosts or table hosts and recruit 6 or 8 of their friends, and we're all going to have a meal together. It is usually a mix of potluck. Some communities also bring in food trucks and kind of do a mix of both. But it really and truly is about just building community, getting people out of their homes, meet your neighbors. There is not an agenda as in the civic dinners. There's not a topic of discussion. It really is just get out and fellowship and enjoy your community. So wanted to have a quick conversation about the longest table. I think this would make an excellent event for us to do. It is something different. There's in my research and in my couple of conversations that I've had with the team in New York, there's only other one, and they're way up on the north side, city in the Atlanta metro area that has done the longest table event. It is a fairly low event in terms of cost and resources, particularly for us because we already have the tables and chairs and tablecloths, et cetera, et cetera. It will take manpower to obviously set all of that up, and getting it out early to recruit table hosts to, bring your friends to come and share a meal. This ties in nicely, and why I'm leaning into this longest table for something for us to consider is that it also allows us to do a real kickoff launch of our ambassador program, kind of jumping a little bit ahead. So as we're talking about our Main Street program, we need volunteers and we need a true ambassador program. And what better way to kick off that ambassador program through table hosts through an event similar to the longest table? There can be. So I've asked him about music. He said they've tried it a couple of different ways. They've had, a DJ, they've had, guy playing the piano. They've kind of done it. He was like, it really and truly is up to you. The community, I can't remember, and I'll send it to you. The community that is most similar to ours was a similarly sized city. It was their Chamber of Commerce that hosted the event. Fits a little bit more in our sweet spot, more so than what they have done in the traditional program that kicked off in New York City, because it literally is a New York City block long. Mm-hmm.
That they make it blanc because it has more of a public.
It does.
Name.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because the concept for the longest table is that there is no fee for it. There is no money. There's no sponsorship. There's none of that. So if we looked at it more in a sponsorship type role, then it could be more of a hybrid version of longest table that's a little bit more dinner and blanc.
From the activities that you're doing around Main Street, just put that money back into whatever.
Mhm. Okay. So any thought or consideration then about the timing of the year? Because in New York, and everyone does it at wildly different periods during the year. He said for them, typically people do it as a Saturday or Sunday early afternoon type of an event for the longest table. But if we're looking to make this more of dinner and blanc, then I think it needs to shift to slightly later in the afternoon or early evening. And then if it's going to be dinner and blanc, then we probably need to move this down more into spring. So it's warm. March is cold for an evening event. Or even further. Because if it's going to be dinner and blanc, I need to push that way out. Thoughts?
Yeah, push it back.
Okay. So we will look at that. The other thing that we are proposing is a Friday night fiesta. So we know that we have hold me honest. Thank you. Food Truck Friday at Bill Lee Park. We have spoken with Ms. Dixon and have identified 2 potential dates to do a special edition of Food Truck Friday. The first one we're proposing is April 4th at Bill Lee Park, as we also want to move beyond just the fountain, and moving a little bit further into the Main Street district and looking at doing a Friday night fiesta. So kind of a whole with music, et cetera, et cetera. So trying to figure out what that potentially looks like. That I believe that April event, I believe, is the kickoff of Food Truck Fridays, and then looking at doing it again, September-ish, but at least partnering with Food Truck Fridays twice and bringing events beyond just the fountain.
Couldn't we make this longest table thing the fiesta night?
We could. We could. Okay.
Find it.
There we go.
Could it still? We wouldn't do the sponsorships then. I guess we still could.
Maybe. Let me play with that. Let me play with that. We're looking at bringing back the food and wine crawl right now, tentatively looking at April 26th, which is in cadence with when we did it last year. Also looking at bringing back the Up Early on Main Saturday morning breakfast yoga series. Looking at doing it 4 times, May and June, and then again August and September. Skipping July. And I had a rationale as to why we were skipping July. I don't remember why I said we were going to skip July. We were going to skip July. I don't remember. Charge it to my head, not my heart, but I will come back to you as to why. But we said we were going to do it 4 times. The Off the Rails in Forest Park, so I'm going to defer to our city manager if we're going to bring that back.
Yeah.
I know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a great way to showcase brands.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And then
What are you gonna showcase on Main Street? You want me to pay for that whole event for just the fountain?
I'm thinking though, Mayor Butler, by July, you should have construction going on Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of their permits are done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's,
You should.
Or over here and over here?
yeah, you should, I mean, definitely by July,
Some dirt, yeah.
yeah. Well, she was about to say, some dirt moving.
Some dirt moving. Yeah. Looking at bringing back Blues on Main again in October, Small Business Saturdays, we close out November, and then Holiday on Main through the month of December.
That the DDA can coin as a signature event where your sole purpose is fundraising.
Blues on Main.
I really enjoyed that. I
Blues
think
on
you know
Main.
different
Mm-hmm.
blues.
Southern Soul. Southern Soul. There's a difference. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. So, but I think that is your signature fundraising event. So, in progress, we are working right now on a Main Street downtown Forest Park logo, LeVar. We are also working on, once we have the logo, some branded Main Street swag, because again, I need ambassadors and people wearing stuff. To your point about fundraising, working on a 2025 comprehensive sponsorship package. I believe very much, I'm putting my fundraising hat back on. It's a lot easier to go to the well once than it is to keep going back a la carte. So trying to put together bundled packages for sponsors so they can, sponsor 2 events at this level and be recognized at slightly higher point here. So giving a bundled option. We are working with planning and community development on a public art program, and have started to at least tentatively identify locations for some public art. This is also largely dependent on PCD finishing what they're needing to do with the text amendment, et cetera, and the district overlay for the public art area, but also getting some dirt turning on some of these projects along Main Street.
In an earlier call, I guess it was this week, where all of them were on the call we discussed. My question was, why should this sit on the CPMB? But they're already planning to work together.
Mhm.
Where Main Street, Rochelle would essentially take the lead from a planning aspect, Their folks on the overlays and all of that.
That is correct.
Where are we with this logo?
I would say that we're probably, probably 3 weeks out from having something to present back to you. By your next meeting, I will have something to present to you. It's kind of delayed a little bit because I've got economic development stuff that's in front of ours.
And then this comprehensive sponsorship package, when is that?
I can also have that for you by your next meeting, if not before. But I needed some notion and approval on what our events calendar looks like, so then I can start to package what sponsorship opportunities look like.
Foundation.
Mm-hmm. And then the last thing, as I talked about before, was the Main Street Ambassador Program. Quick update on our DCA Georgia Main Street. We have completed our annual, I'm sorry.
Events.
Yes.
This fashion show
So, oh, thank you for bringing that back up. So we,
in October.
oh, in Podtober. So I know. Thank you. I broke my glasses. So Podtober, we can add Podtober back again. It was a highlight, and as you can see in the end of the package, there's some cute photos from Podtober. So we will add Podtober again. I think we did it October of last year because it was right around the holiday season. I think definitely bring it back. It was great. It was just was stunned and just warmed my heart that so many people showed up in costume with their fur babies. The fashion show, we need to have an additional internal conversation where we last left off. I still like the idea of the fashion show. We had talked initially about putting it maybe in partnership with this food and wine crawl. There may be an opportunity to kind of partner it maybe with a dinner and blanc type thing. But we left off with concern or just consideration of what we would be our outlay of cost for the fashion show, or for the fashion show producers, what we would be paying and a budget for it. So if we want to move forward, I just need from you, yes, we want to move forward and budget not to exceed something. Okay. Yeah.
I think that's what you're asking.
Yes. Correct. Correct. Because we had talked about that was initially proposed in that April timeframe, because that was going to be around that midpoint in April, around about the same time as the food and wine crawl. That doesn't have to be that. We can always amend the date, because the clock is ticking. But yes, let's
Let's look at, can get time next, well, no. The early part of, now what's today, Thursday?
mhm.
After February 9th, the week of the 10th.
Okay.
Meeting that week or having it done?
Meeting that week.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
How close is that downtown?
That's the week before.
Oh, you got
Why?
plans?
You got plans? Where you going?
Oh, okay. He's told us he got plans. He may be out of town.
Okay. So, any other questions before I wrap up? No? All right. Yes,
Date for retreat.
we do. Right, because we are working to get Miss Evans her photo headshot, as well as your basic DDA training. And then we have also got some tentative dates. I need to circle back around to do the advanced DDA training that we talked about for the full board, as well as the Georgia Main Street training.
So are we gonna look to bring someone in? to
Yes.
do all of that?
Yes. Yes. No.
For this retreat, I want to take.
Okay.
To Madison, Georgia.
Okay.
Not saying-
Oh.
Program, it can be Lawrenceville, it can be, Madison is really good, because they showcase how they use all of their authorities.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful downtown.
Okay.
Do you think of Lawrenceville? Sewanee is a good one.
Yeah, Sewanee's real good.
All have programs. Even the city of Milton, we just want to do something closer, but just to show you.
All right.
Things that downtown development authorities have done.
So I will,
It's still
yeah.
good.
Exactly. So what I can do is go back and look at the dates that we have, and I'll get with you next week so we can narrow in on schedules.
Is it like an overnight?
Depending on where it is.
Depending on where it is.
I mean, you could, Madison, you could get there,
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the furthest.
That would be the furthest.
But their program director is really good and teaches this stuff all over the state. And it really gives you an idea, or helps you create an idea, this is the vision that we want for the DDA, looking at communities that have already done it. I'm sure there are others. Even Griffin has a
Mm-hmm.
very dynamic.
Now, are we gonna try and do a joint retreat with the other two boards?
We did talk about doing another joint chairs retreat, but we also additionally had talked about doing a joint board retreat. And I think where we last left off was we need to do this for our DDA training first, then we need to look at doing a joint chairs retreat, mini retreat, half day something, and then can possibly look at if there's a full bring all three boards together.
Yeah, for the purposes of touring, or going to a city, we're gonna do that with everybody, all three boards?
Well, definitely. Yes.
Alright.
No, with the DA. And like even, I know Hateville is right up the road here, but Marietta, a city that has built around a train, railroads. I don't know if the ones that you mentioned have anything
Is
like,
there a train in downtown?
I don't know. Naples not a bad idea.
Create placemaking,
Mm-hmm.
they hate there, they really done a lot there, I don't know who their main street.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
But we can
Okay.
always give you some ideas.
Yeah.
What like that, fine. It's a better time.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so right now that's tentatively three separate. let's
Yeah.
do-
Yeah.
Cities,
No, like.
No,
different retreats.
Retreats.
If we did, when we did the group one, that could be
Mhm.
like maybe on a Saturday, and then the chairs could be like on a Friday, or breaking it up like that, so it's still gonna be separate, but it's not, you know.
Okay, let me make sure I'm gonna repeat this back to you so I'm capturing this right. So the Friday session be the joint chairs retreat, and then the Saturday session just be DDA. So it would be the advanced DDA training and then the Main Street training for no,
Chairs and then a joint board retreat,
on Friday.
and then the joint one that Saturday or something like that.
have they changed it to where you can't get the training online?
They do have online options. Elizabeth and I had a long conversation back and forth.
I know I'm trying to do the training.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's too much, trying to do. the
That's a
training.
lot. That's a lot.
I think they should try it. I think they can do it online,
Okay.
I think.
All right. Let me check.
And if not, we can arrange a date for them to still come down here.
Mm-hmm.
and train. Probably.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
I mean, the sooner the better.
So February, March. 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 Maybe March. So,
His mouth moving. but
yeah.
out.
All right. So I'm gonna wrap up real quick. So a couple of things with Georgia Main Street. Thank you for all of that. We have completed
March.
March.
They can have city retreat as well,
Yes.
because we're in budget season. So I don't wanna,
Mm-hmm.
think we go 2 weekends.
Mm-hmm. So we have completed our annual self-assessment. Our 24-25 MOU has been signed and submitted. We're working through our annual work plan. Thank you again. The calendar goes a long way in the work plan. We've submitted our board roster and our board agendas and minutes from 2024, the training log for me as your Main Street manager, bylaws, district boundaries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we are rocking and rolling. There's lots of paperwork, and it definitely was a Took a little bit of a learning curve to get all of this stuff submitted. We had an issue with accessing their Dropbox, but I think we have resolved the issue. So any questions at all or other considerations for the Forest Park Main Street program? No? All right, thank you much. Am I staying up here to talk about this lease stuff? No? Oh,
The economic development update. Do we have anything to
Yes,
update?
so one thing I will report, Mayor Butler, there's been a lot of activity around the Main Street area, as we know based on our conversation with you and the economic development team. We are moving forward and trying to unload some of this property. And our goal is 90 days to have at least one project, with either an LOI or something under contract, outside of the ones that we already have.
Okay.
Aggressive, but it's what we're shooting for.
I love it. Starting when?
The 90 days starts March 1st.
That's funny. That's hilarious, actually.
But no, starting when we have a conversation, we're really keep actively working on it, just to have something. The other thing at Butler, there's an initiative called the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing that we feel we should participate in as we look to further diversify what the housing portfolio is around the city. And with the QAP for these affordable housing units, it allows you an additional point from the state. So something we'll be looking to get into this year with the grant application. And we'll report back to the report.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so we have the tree removal technique.
But our senior procurement chief officer, Ms. Talisa Adams.
So East Street and then Ernest. We'll discuss, please. East and then Ernest? And then East, what did I say? I said the other way? Oh, okay.
Good afternoon. Now I don't have any information on Ernest and the trees. I didn't receive anything related to that. Yeah, I hadn't seen the quote or anything.
and the work
It wouldn't be
has
long.
already been completed.
Okay.
So you had previously approved the demolition, but giving you an update on the amount. So the demolition is $47,291. And then the removal of 37 trees is 39,000, what does that say? 991,000. And so the work on both has been done. So what you have now, we went by there earlier this afternoon. Do you see it?
Mine's, no, mine says 37. On the
I'm looking
second.
at this one.
Oh. The correct amount, and I apologize, there were two different ones. The correct amount may have not,
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
because there was a late addition to the amount. So what was previously submitted for the tree removals was 37,000. I sent this to you last week.
I remember this quote, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one for Ernest. It came from Ms. Lisa, and we said it had to have board approval. Correct. And it included grading as well as removing some trees off of that Ernest Street property. Each street, is that what you're talking about?
This is Ernest. This is all of this is related to Ernest.
47,000.
That's
Okay,
the
well,
demolition.
That's separate.
And
Yeah, the tree one was the one that I believe Technique sent over to me and Mr. Shelby.
And we were gonna check to see if we had a tree vendor.
Yes, but by the time we decided that, he had already started cutting and taking down the trees. So he had already started the work.
Was that, because this is, I guess, the second phase of it, because they already started taking down some. And then he said there were some additional trees that needed to be removed. So is this the additional trees?
The first one for 37,000, that was submitted back on December, well, it has a date of December 16th. So that should have been the original one. And I think that's the only one that was sent, that I was copied on in an email from Technique, me and Mr. Shelby. I hadn't seen this December 30th or the excavation. I just recommended that if the trees needed to be cut down, and I thought this was a quote, I had recommended that we also try to seek some quotes from actual tree companies. But the response back was, well, the vendor had already started cutting down the trees, so it wasn't no need to go back and get a quote from someone else if they had already started the work.
It does, and I remember that conversation, but I thought that because this was like the second part of it, when he found that there's additional trees that needed to be removed, not in that first group of tree removals.
The 37, it wasn't a number. It just said, the scope was to provide traffic control, erosion control, perform 2 demolitions of housing structures, demolition of existing concrete drywall, installation crushed drywall, and final cleanup.
So I know
And so,
demolitions are done.
so the 37 didn't have anything to do, looks like, with the tree removal. That was for the demolition of the 2 houses back on December 16th.
If we get them on the phone. Is that, all that is done?
Yes, because when we completed the final walkthrough at East Street, me and Deputy Director Watley and Technique did drive over to Ernest, and so all the trees and everything were already cut. And they was clearing out the space of the debris and all of that.
He's on his way. So let's skip over that till he gets here. 'Cause I'm confused.
East
he's-
Street.
Yeah. please.
So we conducted the walkthrough for the phase 2 final work completion at East Street on the 16th. And I did submit the walkthrough checklist in the notes section. If everybody has a copy of that, the things listed there are just punch list items that still needed to be done in order to accept final submission of the invoice from Technique. Those things listed in the notes is identified as to what Technique will be completing at no additional cost. And then up under there were some additional things that were noted that Public Works, Deputy Director Watley was there at the walkthrough as well, stated that we could get Public Works to take care of those minor touch-ups. And then there was discussion when we did the walkthrough outside of some additional renovations that are being proposed to be done. So I did make note of those, and the recommendation was for the DDA to decide if these were things that we could possibly do in-house, or if we would need to go outside and get it outsourced. And if we got it outsourced, then we would either go back to Technique, who completed the original work, to give us a quote on those things. I know about the tree trimming in the backyard. It was a company was offered as A&R Tree Company. Check with them about a quote on doing that. And then the install of the new chain link fence and a deck possibly in the backyard, pressure washing the house on the outside, and adding lighting in the backyard. Those would be additional tasks that would have to, again, be determined if it could be done through Public Works or if we would need to outsource it with a vendor. I did speak to Deputy Director Watley. He said and I gave him a copy of this, but I guess I'll go back to him so that he can identify these additional renovations of what his team can do and what they can't. And then once that's determined, we can move forward with the items that we would have to outsource and get some additional quotes to see how much that'll be.
We would need that definitely by our next meeting. I would want this east to be done. Final approvals, et cetera, done by our next meeting in February.
Okay.
Whatever we need to do to bring back to the board so we can make a final decision, because that project needs to be ready to go by no later than March 1st.
I think the delay, because I believe the report came in Friday, the
Mhm.
final walkthrough.
Yes.
But Friday,
The 16th, it came, I think that before the close of business that day.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
There's nothing to vote on now. We're gonna wait for the additional information.
Yes, I'll follow up with Deputy Director Watley and have him identify what him and the Public Works team can do, and then report back on what's left out there that we would need to get quotes from.
Make that decision. I'm assuming he's gonna work with his director.
now, there is something to vote on. This work on Ernest Drive from this invoice that came in.
We're not done with Ernest.
Oh,
He's
okay.
coming,
Okay.
so we can ask him, like, what is it?
Which ones are,
What's done, what's in the works, et cetera. All right, Mr. Wiggins?
Good afternoon. I'm going to start off with the cover sheet for the Downtown Development Authority Fund. Always start out with the operating cash. This is a reflection of the three bank statements. On the DDA check-in for 0510, at a beginning budget of $4,918,012. You got an ending balance, because of deposit and some withdrawals, it's $4,786,728. Next bank account is $1,160,967. Ending balance $1,163,916. Last bank account ending in 1160 is $1,085,932. Ending balance is $1,088,690. Your operating revenue, start out with a budget of $1,429,768. Year-to-date actual, you've collected $3,582,122. The intergovernment revenue, which shows us the largest, that is part of the pilot payment that the DDA collects.
Why would we get this pilot payment, Mr. Williams? Pardon me. If you would, Mayor Butler, do we need to talk about that $4 million?
For
This $3 million that's in here, what did that attribute to the $4 million?
pretty much for the interfund transfer of how we talked about it last time with the interfund transfer, that's funds that comes in that you owe another that you owe, like the general fund. This is part of what the city manager's talking about, and we discussed it last time, that's some of the accounting that we need to do to clean up the books. That is money that's owed to the general fund, and that's what the city manager was talking about, as far as 4 million that we kind of discussed earlier today.
So we owe the general fund $4 million?
Yeah, it's kind of a accumulation of when you're dealing with the interest, like due to, due from. And that's what's been going on. The problem is, it has happened, but the due from did not happen, which it owed the general fund back after, paying for something that the DDA should have paid for. And it's not the DDA fault. It's because, the way the bank accounts and the funds are set up, I think it had to be paid through the general fund. It's just that the DDA just need to, pay the general fund back for just basically fronting the money. That's all. I would have to, I'll have to get you a list and just show you. I think this is, I have to check that too. I don't want to say out of turn. Let me get that hard information.
I think it's prudent, if we're showing an ending balance in the DDA's account of 7 million, and it's going to be reduced by 4 million. If I'm understanding this
Mhm.
correct, that's a significant hit.
Mhm. It is. It is.
Yes.
Yeah, the accountant to,
You want me to go get it?
or I can go while you finish.
Okay.
Unless you want to say this, Mayor Butler, we have a conversation with you first.
With me first?
Operating expense. Yeah, the budget of 1,429,768. Year to date, what's been spent is 255,152. Going to the next three sheets, the next three sheets are basically just graphs of the operating cash, operating revenue, and the operating expense. The report after that is a departmental payment report. This right here shows what happened within the month of December. And all the information I have here is as of December 2024. So this was what happened. This is what was paid for from the DDA in the month of December.
What are our dues? It's, Georgia.
Say it again.
No, I see. I didn't look over to the left.
Okay. After that report, I also included the bank statements. I have and basically the bank statements are the ones of the mentioning the operating cash. Bank statement ending in 0510. 3693 is the next one after that. The one after that is 1160. Last bank account that I have here is the Georgia Fund 1 statement of account. Prior balance was 2,052,433. After the earning reinvested, you have 2,060,376,000. And then the last report is just a basic finance report summary that helped provide me with the revenues and expenses. And that's pretty much the financial report. We have Ms. Nina Robson here. Want to come up?
I was, internet effort to explain to this board, the DDA, the catch that you mentioned, this point there.
It's actually a accumulation of pilot payments that have been processed through the Downtown Development Authority into their bank account that have not been transferred from the DDA over to the general fund. And when the auditor comes in and presents it, it's part of the footnote on page 47 of the audited financial reports. The amount that is reflected is $4,144,403.
And these are the pilot payments that came from Coral, right?
Couple of, it's all of the pilot payments. It's not just Kroger. Yes. Kroger is one of them, but there are other entities, Fort Gillum entities.
About the pilot payments that stay with the DDA.
Those will stay with the DDA. They're not part of this calculation.
Sent to the
That's the way the,
DDA.
yes. That's how it was set up back in 2022 to flow through the books. That's how it was established.
One of the things that probably you'll be most proud of is that we were tirelessly trying to clean all of this up. And so when the audit is coming on February 16th,
The 17th?
17.
our financial position was very impressed with
Mhm. Yes, absolutely.
And so, just for clarity, Ms. Robinson, with that essentially, I know the last time we had to do the DCD fund, it was more of a journal entry, or adjusting journal entry or correction, which didn't change the actual amount in the bank. With this transfer, can you explain the difference?
Exactly. The journal entry that we posted was in order to reflect the balance that should be on the financial reports. We actually now have to move the funds from one bank account at Truist to another bank account at Truist. Then a journal entry will be made in the books to show that the money was moved and that this interfund balance is removed from the books. And so
All of it,
for that piece. There are still other transactions that happen daily with the DDA that we capture the same way, but that's separate and distinct from the pilot payments. We have, for example, we did one just this week where we paid an appraisal fee. We paid it out of the pool cash, so it'll become money that the DDA owes back to the general fund because we paid it out of that bank account. We did that because we were remote and we don't have access to an EFT transaction for the DDA yet. I'm working on it. That we could just say, send an EFT file to the bank to pay it out of the DDA bank account. So in order to get the vendor paid and not further delay them, we paid it out of the pool cash knowing that we could correct it on the back end. So that's $9,775 that'll be reflected in the next request that I'll make to leadership to move funds from one bank account to the other.
When is that going to be fixed? So we're no longer doing that?
I'm making it a priority to work on doing that. It's a matter of inputting some file configurations into our ERP system, testing that file download with Truist to make sure that everything works well. We did that with our pool cash. It's working perfectly. So I don't think it'll take nearly as long to implement this with DDA and URA and any of the other bank accounts. We have quite a few bank accounts. So we're systematically doing it, and we make sure we test it thoroughly before we put it into processes.
Any other questions? Right. Are you done with your portion?
Yes, I'm done.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Thank you for doing this so quickly. We just had some questions. Because we have, this is for Ernest. We have 3 sets of figures here. The one for 37, is that stuff that is already completed? Thank you for joining us, sir. We're actually at the tail end.
I need to get to the microphone. Yes, sir. So what's the question?
So this one, of those 3, we have 3 different figures. So
Mhm.
I want to know what was already done and what is still, what are you doing and what needs to be paid out?
All of it is done. All three of these invoices.
You know what, on the 39 one, it has a number of trees, 37 trees.
Yeah.
So all the, oh. Now, where is the grading on here? Because one,
No, the grading is not, no, what we're doing is, I was just going off straight line items for this. I started the tree removal before I even had a site plan for this job. You had two sets of trees, you had the trees be removed. I left that site this afternoon. Mm-hmm. All of it.
said all, he did say. all
That's the
trees
first
going
thing
into
I
the other
said.
stuff.
The houses are gone and all trees have been removed except a couple of stumps. All the work has been done.
And so those are three separate figures for three different phases of work.
Yeah, you have to have, the way y'all do, if y'all don't have a complete job put together, all I can do is give purchase orders as you go. You don't have you have an estimate on how much your houses cost. You have no site cost. You had no demolition costs. You had no tree removal at all. All of those phases have to be done before you build anything on that site.
What that procurement was making, what she was trying to get to is, hey, let me see if I can get a quote, but she couldn't get there because work was done. And so what we were asking this board to do was ratify these invoices since the work has already been complete, if he confirmed it. So that's what I'm bridge. This is not the way we need to project it, you know, because that ain't how you do it, you know. But I think what Mr. Lake was saying, Mr. Freeman said, the invoice is the work is already done. Right?
Yes.
Which was in addition to the original quote of the 47 that we had already had, I believe. So 47, then 39. I guess the other one is for the East Street.
Yes.
Yeah, for East Street. You got 2 for Furnace and 1 for East.
You got 3 for Ernest and 1 for East.
These three are for Ernest,
Yes.
the 37, 39, and then the 47. And so I wasn't sure if the 39, because my packet had the 37, not the 39. So I think your packets may have the 37, the 39. Yeah, and not the 37. So,
So So. it's
Yeah,
the-
it was 3 phases of the job. You had one phase that had the first removal of the trees that sat directly on the property.
Okay, so pause there.
Okay.
So that's where I was asking if this was for the second set of tree removals, because we already know that he did the first set of tree removals. And so that 37 right there is for the what? The first set. That, okay. Okay. And you can continue. So then this is for the second set, which is 37 in total. That's the 39,000. Is that for 37 trees in total or the additional?
No, it was additional trees.
That's the additional trees for 37. And then the question was, how many, do you know how many were removed the first go round?
Everything on, I don't have it right on this right here,
Okay.
but I have everything on the site.
And then this 47. But see, it still talks about removal of trees and stumps. I think that's where we're getting confused.
No, all the stumps are part of it. We didn't come,
So you're doing the removal of the trees and then the stumps separate.
we had originally had the stumps separate because we had no true, we didn't have, we started that job when y'all came out and made me start without a site plan. You can't, you can cut down all the trees you want to, but you can't remove stumps without an actual site plan and an irrigation program. That's why the stumps were part of the second part.
7, yeah.
Mhm.
This for everybody, so we're all.
That closes out everything.
That Ernest, I mean, it closes out what he took, what he demolished and took down, but then it's just an open space.
You gotta fill it and you gotta build something on it.
I thought I had saw a quote that included the grade, that's what you call it, right? Grading?
In the preamble of that $47,000 invoice, it talks about grading specifically.
No,
Technique concrete construction proposal furnish all labor, material equipment, and supervision to grade is needed to perform the demolition.
perform the demolition, not perform the building of the houses. I'm just saying,
Scope of everything, because an invoice 30 here, 40 here, it'll make it easier on the contractor as well as our procurement department in knowing where we are. I think what we're approving, all this stuff is done.
yes. And what I believe, yeah. But what I believe y'all need to put your whole program together, put it out there what you want built and compete it. That's what you have to do with something this big.
Way past that point now, like, so again, Ms. J, I don't think you were here. So all this is about this Leaf Life Initiative and the employee workforce housing. So the DDA had 3 properties, the East Street property, and then these 2 on Ernest. And so, originally for the Ernest property, we had someone else slated to do all this. Well, it was one set, this whole thing was supposed to be done by October 10th. And you see, we're in January, damn near February, still trying to figure this stuff out. So that initial person, it was just one setback, one setback, one setback after another to where I'm like, look, I'm done with him. And then we decided to go with Technique. So what Technique has discovered, in which I still have questions if our staff received anything from the original person. At what point do they go and review the work done? Because something like the grading or whatever should have been caught way back then. Like some of this stuff that we're being introduced to should not be a surprise to us, but it's a surprise. And so we're gonna have to have a conversation with staff on that.
I mean, you could essentially build a house there with 17-foot drop. You could. It's probably not the best, but there are houses like that. I mean, that's customary, depending on how much money, when you're doing projects of this magnitude, what you are weighing is the cost for the house versus
Versus
what
what
you're
we're
gonna
gonna
bring in
get.
if you're not selling. You know, so that's a budgetary decision. If you wanna expend the money to fill 17 feet of dirt and add a retaining wall, once you start getting in the cost of what you can build that house back with the inflation on the material, you might not be worth it. Mr. Freeman ain't gonna say that because he.
No, 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 but no, Mr. Freeman don't need to make money off the DA. I will say that.
You know, what I mean, that's a business decision. I think. Yeah.
Right now, you gotta do some grading on your site. Right now, because those houses sat on basements. And some of those basements were 9 feet below the level already there. You got a huge hole out there, which we're gonna have to address, even if we don't fill it sometime soon, because we gotta do some serious erosion control out there, so that hill don't wash off. Because what we have out here, once I remove those roots, means those stumps, is nothing to hold that stuff on that hill. Now, I took out most of the stumps that I could, but the ones on that far deep side, because Clayton County got not a detention pond, but all the drainage from that street comes over on the far side of that property. And if I get to digging in, start pulling everything out from over there, I'm gonna have a problem with Clayton County.
Okay, so now, that's 3 different areas. You have, let's go by the bill. You have one on December 16th. Right, you have 2. The one on December 16th is $10,000 less than the other one on December 16th. And it looks like the only difference is the first one says that there were not going to be any trees removed. The second one, 47,291, says that there are trees removed. And it was when I saw 47, I said, hey, we need to route this throughout the proper channels based upon the amount. But that invoice is the exact same. So it should be 3. It looks like this invoice 47 replaced the invoice for 37. With the addition that
The additional items.
for trees.
But the 47 one doesn't talk about the demolition of the structures.
Invoice you looking at?
Do you have a-
December 16 is, 47.
This one.
40, yeah, that one.
Oh, I see.
And then the 37,291. It's a $10,000 difference. And so city manager is asking that $10,000 difference, does this invoice replace this one?
No. I don't have I don't have that
You
$37,000.
don't have this one?
No, I just have these 2.
So they're from the same.
Oh, here's,
Here's the 37,000. Both were submitted together.
Do you have,
It
do you
said-
have the invoice that we sent, not the,
The invoice?
on time we actually we had the payout on it. Actual PO.
Oh, I haven't done a PO. Yes, Eric Devin, I'm doing here. We haven't done an actual purchase order for it.
Okay.
Traffic control, I thought the city was gonna help for the project.
Traffic control got us into the site. Block Jonesboro Road for us to get the equipment in and out of the site every day. Nobody does that. That's what we do. Traffic, they block that to get the tractor trailers in. But the everyday dumpsters and trucks coming in and out of the site, that's what we do.
No, I just know they asked for permission to use, I think it was police.
Mm-hmm. That would got us in the site. That would block Jonesboro Road for us to get all that big equipment in there originally.
Is one an upgrade from the other, adding additional services, or are we responsible for both?
No, it should be 3 invoices, 3 invoices, 2 for trees and 1 for houses. The larger invoices for the homes.
I have 2 for housing, 1 for tree.
No, it should be, yeah. No, this right here is just the, earnest job housing,
Those were the proposals.
the proposals.
These are not invoices.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, we haven't,
We never received it. I haven't received any invoice.
we haven't received any invoice.
Yeah, so I see
But
what,
this is what we typically use from the prison, right?
Then I come back with a actual purchase order.
yeah, they just looking at it, there's two here, the one for 37,000 appears to say at the bottom says TCC's scope of work for the above project excludes tree removal, right, and rock excavation.
Yeah, but what,
One stated at the same time said, now it has it above, it said it only excludes rocks excavation, but it includes the tree removal to city manager's point. So it looks like these two, as it relates to these two documents, that the 47,000 is an upgrade over the 37,000.
no,
Looks,
no, what Randy probably did is probably just copy both of these without removing everything off of it. It was two invoices should cover the trees, and another invoice should cover the house.
do you know what those amounts should add up to?
I don't have it with me, but I can pull it up. Look at my computer.
Yeah, we can only go on what we have in
Yeah.
front of us.
Two for trees and one for the house. But
Assuming the one for- So if that's the case, then in my packet, I don't see anything for the house. This may be the two.
well, the house was included in the 37 where it's, well, I guess 30, they both say that. They say it in the top, the 37 and the 47.
The printer may be saying is that, maybe in their internal processes, there should be a separate one for trees, a separate one for houses, but in this project proposal, it's all the same thing. And then that would, so, in this process, that's two, and then this is where a completely different scope of work it looks like. Looks like, we're hauling off timber, providing temporary erosion control, so that's what it looks like.
What is that, 37,291, 47,291, what's that, 84,85,000?
No, sure.
So from the emails that I received from Technique, okay, to me and Mr. Shelby, so it says, please see attached two proposals for both housing demolition and tree removal. And so that was the 47 and the 37. That came together. Then later that evening, we got another email that says, give me a couple of days to complete the pricing on the site work and the utility plan. And then on the 19th, it says, if my pricing is within the, city's budget, Technique would like to start demolition ASAP. And to let him know, you know, when to start, they can do the structure removal in 5 working days. But procurement did not say move forward, do anything. I don't know where that directive came from. Assuming economic development. So that last invoice was the one that I didn't never get, but it said it removed 38 trees or something of that nature for the 39.
Well, we don't know how many were removed in the first group. What's that?
About the review, is it better for us to just allow Mr. Friedman to work with Lisa to make heads and tails of this? Or can you authorize payment if the work is done?
Yeah.
I don't think we're not defensive people.
No, I'm not.
We're just trying to figure out,
Yeah.
this whole notion today was granting approval for work, even though procurement had received the quote. Before it was approved, the work was already done. And so because of that, there's processes similar to what you have for your board. There's processes that we may follow, and we're trying to make heads and tails of what's what, so we can get this board to ratify said action and move forward.
So then I guess with that, we would have everything laid out so we know, because now we're getting into the construction. Oh, do we need to discuss furnishing East Street? I said we just do it.
But I guess the only point of clarification is the invoices, not invoice. The project scope from 16, that's the only thing that has to be figured out because it's the same information. You want to put a pin and
Yes.
because at this juncture, I think what Mr. Freeman is saying is that the work is already done.
Yeah.
Anyway, so before staff can even submit a PO, they'll work with police to make sure these quotes are right.
Well, we didn't even get the invoice for them to do a PO. So he would need to submit the invoices.
Staff would do how do y'all handle it? Yeah.
I have to make a, actually, I have to make a PO.
Invoice.
Yeah,
Invoice.
Yes.
And then we turn it into a PO.
We can. Yeah, I just.
So would that require any action from us, Carl?
Yes, the department will have to do the requisition in order to get a purchase order.
Okay, so is it everything over $1 or over 1,000?
Over 1,000. Welcome.
But would you do the requisition without the invoice? Are you doing the requisition just based on?
No, we're not gonna do a requisition yet until we meet and get it clarified what the amount owed is. And then I'll submit that to you all to do the requisition.
Is there anything for executive session?
Have one item. I'll give you a good meeting today, so keep it on break.
Okay, so there, gonna have them put a pin in this so they can get what all their need to give us the actual invoice. All right, but now we do have executive session. We have 2 members here. So we'll just ask everyone else to clear out. Is there a motion to recess to go into executive session for personnel, litigation, real estate, or legal matters?
So moved.
That was Eric. Is there a second? And Ms. Evans?